you from?
From Kazakhstan.
Really?
Ever heard?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, really?
We call it one of the stands. I had someone on here from Uzbekistan.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that interesting?
It's kind of like a neighbor, yeah. Well, technically, I was born in USSR, the country that doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just so happens that even though none of my family is Kazakh, we just ended up being in Kazakhstan.
God.
So yeah, born and raised in Kazakhstan, moved to New York 10 years ago.
You're a New Yorker then. I think you have to be here 7 years for people to consider.
I heard 10.
Oh, 10, okay.
Yeah, anyways, I'm a New Yorker.
You
Oh,
are?
Definitely.
What part do you live in of the city?
Queens.
Nice.
Yeah.
What part of Queens?
Have you heard of Sunnyside?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So it's kind of, like close to Astoria, somewhere in between Long Island City and Astoria.
I was just talking to someone who this will be featured a week after them. They live in Queens as well, and they love it.
It's a nice, I mean, depends on the part, just like any borough.
Sure.
But Sunnyside, I love it. It's very family driven. It's very quiet. Nothing really happening there.
Yeah.
Knock on the wood. And I love that. I love that I can, if I travel, I go outside 5 a.m. I just wait for Uber. I'm not looking left and right, waiting for something dangerous to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a nice area.
You feel comfortable there. You have the best of both worlds. You have that quiet, and then you come into the city for that chaos.
Well, Upper East Side, I still consider quiet.
I do
too. Sometimes when I go to like Grand Central area, I'm like, ooh, this is a reminder for me that I actually live in New York.
Yeah.
But because I go from most of my days, I go from Queens to Upper East Side, I most of the times don't see the craziness.
You have such a peaceful way about you right now. As you're talking, I'm like,
Sleeping.
So calm. No, I'm not going to go to sleep. No. Just very calm. Yeah. You have such a calming sense about you.
Oh, thank you.
Sunnyside's it's really good for you.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But actually, it's funny that you said that because I'm a very anxious person.
Are you?
Yeah.
It's so funny.
I am a warrior.
You are
100%. Every small thing, I might lose my sleep over a tiny thing.
Yes.
But I think it's the immigrant in me. You know, it's like the fact that you're not sure about tomorrow, like what's going to happen tomorrow. I mean, I definitely feel much more on my feet right now, but like not in the beginning. Or maybe I'm just an anxious person.
Yeah, and there's a lot going on right now too, which I understand. How do you find your calm in this moment in the city?
You know, my favorite part of the day is walking my dogs.
Oh.
Like, I would try to leave at least my work phone at home.
Yeah.
And I would just take them, and it's not like, I don't have Central Park next to where I live, but we don't have like a nice park, but it's still like a quiet area.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's more about your inner situation. Like, you can try to get relaxed even when like chaotic situation is happening around you.
Yeah.
But I take them for a walk, and that's my time to like connect with myself.
Yeah.
I try not to be. I used to respond to text messages, calling back to clients who I didn't call back last night. But I'm like, no, I need my time with my dogs. And then I just noticed that my dogs would take advantage of me not paying attention. So they would eat stuff from the ground.
Like children.
Yeah, so...
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I have 2 dogs.
Yeah.
You have 3 kids, right?
Yeah.
I stalked your Instagram.
I do. I don't have room for dogs because of the kids, but it's chaotic.
No, you should not have. Yeah,
you should not have animals.
It's too much to have both.
It's a lot in the city without a backyard. Yeah.
Well, Central Park can be your backyard.
Definitely.
In your situation.
Wow, we're really getting into this. My husband would have to be on board for us to have a dog.
Yeah.
Have to be on board because then we would need to work it out together.
No, it's a lot of work.
It is. If he's not on board, he's like, I don't want a dog. I was like,
He already has 3 kids in there.
Yes, he's a very blessed man. I'm impressed that you're so mindful about your grounding yourself. That's really hard to do. So thanks for sharing that. A lot of people are like, I don't know, I'm like in a frenzy, but you are so mindful about that moment and what you need, and you're honoring that.
But I think once you have at least one situation in your life when being on the go 24/7 takes a toll on your health.
Yes.
Just have one situation like that in your life, and I think that's when you're like, okay, I need to take it a little bit easy.
Yeah.
Yep. 2023 was the year when I didn't have a single day off. Like I did go on.
Are you serious?
I went on vacation for like 4 days to Miami alone because I just needed to be alone. That was the first solo trip I ever took. And then I went to San Francisco to maybe for like 5-6 days, again alone with my dog. And those were my only days off for the entire year.
Okay.
I know.
We're gonna get into that. How did you get into skincare? That is incredible. I don't know how you survived 2023. I'm so glad you're here right now. How did you pursue skincare and then open up your own
I was always
business?
into skincare, but just to the extent, just like any other woman or majority of women, I kind of wanted to stay on top of trends because I had a problematic skin, but nothing, I never thought I was going to make a career out of it.
Wow.
Eventually, I wish I could tell that I have this like touching story of wanting like to help people to feel confident in their own skin, and which this is the most favorite part of my job now. But getting into that industry, that was not the reason. The only reason was that I had a bachelor degree from my country, but my diploma was just a paper here in the United States. It was not valid. So for me to reevaluate it, I would have to go to university or college, spend a lot of time and money on that, and I simply had neither. So I literally chose something that I was like was kind of the cheapest way to get some kind of license. And I always wanted it to be...
That's impressive.
I wanted it to be something around medical field, not necessarily medical, maybe nutrition, maybe... I always wanted into I was into something, treating something, but I didn't know what I wanted.
Sure.
So I literally, as much as like pragmatic, like rational and logical it sounds, I just chose the cheapest way.
Wow.
And I went to aesthetic school, which it's not like I hated it. I loved it.
Sure.
But I was like, yeah, well, if I had more financial means, I would probably go to like be a doctor or something. And my Kazakh degree is actually international relations, so has nothing to do with medical or treating someone.
Yeah.
But once I got into aesthetic school, I was like, oh my God, I'm home. Like this is what I want to do. I'm so glad that I didn't have money to go to
That's a gift, that
medical
moment,
school.
to know.
I swear in my life, it's amazing.
Yeah. I was going to say, you had to have found a calling because what you do and what you've created.
I'm obsessed with it.
There has to be passion there.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love it so much, and I'm glad that it all turned out this way, but I was never dreaming about that.
Okay, so you did this to find, work and be here and make money and live, but you've created, you built a business in New York City, a really competitive city. What was it like being a woman starting a business in Manhattan?
There's a lot of challenges you face, of course, but I think the hardest challenge that hits you hard is actually your self-doubt.
Yes.
Some people call it imposter syndrome. Some people call it lack of confidence.
Yeah.
Whatever you call it, it's a real thing.
It is a real
it's
thing.
not a joke. Seriously. The amount of times I would wake up thinking that I am a queen of the world, I'm going to move mountains, I'm going to do so well. And then in the afternoon, it's like literally not even a matter of days.
Yes.
It's like a matter of hours. Something is going to happen or nothing happened. You just have a switch and you're like, I am so incompetent. How am I supposed to be? Like, people are never going to come to me. And I'm talking like not the skincare, but the business part of it. Like I remember there was a situation, the electrician, I was in the middle of my renovation of my studio. The electrician calls me and he goes, hi, so I just need to tell you. And then he starts bombing me with this electrical terminology. I don't even remember the circuit, boom.
Good one,
the
circuit.
Ground breaker,
Yes.
boom.
Yes.
The whatever, boom. And I was like, so I kind of, I don't want to seem that I don't understand what he's talking about at all, because, you know, when a man sees a woman who has no idea what she's doing, he kind of takes advantage of it. So I didn't want him to overcharge me. I wanted to create a little bit of illusion that I know what I'm doing, but I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like floating. And I somehow maintained the conversation with him, and then I hung up, and I remember I started crying. I was like, oh my God, I can't even do the renovation in my studio. How am I supposed to run a thing eventually? People will never come to me. Because I was like, when I was opening this business, I thought, oh, I want to do facials and laser hair removals. But then it turns out that it comes with a whole bunch of other things. You have to be a content creator these days. You have to, I mean, you can hire people, but if you are limited in finance, you can't. You have to do it on your own. You have to be mindful with your finance. You have to be your own accountant, this and this and that. Customer service representative, everything. I even built my website myself. It's kind of, honestly, so everything you can definitely, every single challenge that you face, you can definitely overcome it. But you have to start with yourself. And for me, I think the fact that I had such an amazing support system, none of my friends or my mom ever told me, like, are you sure you want to do this?
I love that.
None of them. They were they still are my biggest cheerleaders. Listen, they were my first clients. Friends of my friends and my friends, they all were my first clients. They kept me kind of like on my foot in the beginning. And thank God it started growing fast, but so I don't know how much longer they would support me.
This imposter syndrome, I feel, it's I would say most people feel it. Most everybody feels it. It's just what person decides to like fight through that roller coaster of emotions and just keep their head laser focused on where they need to go. I think it's like being scared and still doing it, as opposed to someone feeling scared 100%. And just saying, I can't do this. I think that's just the difference between people. You're not weak for feeling that. We all feel that at different points.
I would assume, it's a lack of experience as well, because if I do it for the second time, I think I still would be nervous.
Oh,
and
but it would be
out.
Different.
It would be different because I already at least a little know what I'm doing.
Yes, you've survived. You survived
100%. You know,
you survived the electrician.
Right?
You did it.
I survived the renovation.
Great job. I'm really impressed with that.
You know, my mom told me, she was like, you know, if it was easy, everyone would do that.
That's such a mom thing. It's so important to be reminded of that.
It's such a simple thing, but it's so true.
It's true.
Like literally every single person would open their own business.
Yeah, and doing something unknown is really scary.
Yes.
It's so funny. I sit with so many entrepreneurs sitting here, and it's such an inspiration. You are an entrepreneur. You're fighting through that, and you've created this space. Let me see if I get this right. Your business has this personalized blend of holistic methods with your cutting edge technology for long-term results. I loved hearing that because I find that many women are really overwhelmed by skincare. They don't know what to do. They look up things, they see something, oh, I may want to do microneedling, and then they go and then they get it done, and then they're like, now what? You're not like that. People meet with you and get this personalized approach. So can you explain? A new client comes in, and what you do with them?
We simply talk. It depends really if it's a facial appointment. That's when I would need to gather more information. And if you do have some struggles, if it's just like a regular facial, you know, she just does it for fun and her skin looks healthy.
Sure.
That's one thing. But if you come in and we have a conversation, if you have a struggle, like a lot of struggles with your skin, I will have to not only ask you what your concern is, or maybe I already see what your concern is, but I still would ask you.
Sure.
But also I want to go over what your life looks like. Yeah. And some people might think it's a little bit intrusive. Like, I'm going to ask you about your lifestyle, your hobby, your diet. But it actually, people underestimate how important that is.
Yeah.
We can chemical peel your skin all we want, but if you keep doing something that triggers your acne,
Right.
you will just be wasting your money.
Yeah.
And yes, chemical peel definitely is gonna help, but it will. Don't you want to see something more long term?
Yeah.
That's why it's important. If you have issue, you have to find where it's coming from, rather than like treating just the symptom.
I love that holistic approach, because back in the day, years ago, if someone had acne or definitely acne, they put you on Accutane and that's it. But there's so much more going on, and I feel like now we're in a place where I think holistic and clinical need to find, and in all medicine is so important. So what do you say? How does sleep, stress, and diet affect your skin?
Oh, it has absolutely a huge impact on your skin. Stress basically makes your body produce more cortisol, which is a lot of people probably, we are more educated these days.
Yes.
So this is a stress hormone that weakens your skin barrier. For a lot of people, it does cause acne. And you see, that's the thing about holistic thing about our body. What's happening on the micro levels in our body, we don't see it right away.
Right.
If you slept on a dirty pillow, you might see and break out maybe tomorrow or like in a week. But if you're constantly stressing out, if you're stressed out once, you don't see the result. The second time, the third time, but then once it's a constant thing that kind of like compounds in your body, that's the thing. It definitely plays a huge role, and it is underestimated, but these days I see people are getting there. We are not as enlightened as Californians. Do I say it right? Californians?
Yes, you said it right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they're
because
more.
It's just a different lifestyle.
Yes.
It's a different pace of life.
Yes.
In
You're
New
right.
York City. But we're getting there. And I understand when the person comes to me and she's like, listen, I need the results like yesterday.
That's the problem.
That's when, and I think both holistic and high tech has the room in this world.
I agree.
When I was a kid, if I would sick, and every single kid from post-Soviet Union will agree with me, you get sick, your mom will give you Tylenol or like equivalent of Tylenol, but she will also put the onion juice in your nose. Aww. Because it's a old wisdom thing. That's what they did, but she also would use something modern.
Yes.
And that, having both of that blended, I think works the best. I'll be honest with you, not always having something organic, vegan will help you.
I know.
And you
There's
said
a place.
it, yes. Sometimes you really need Tylenol. Sometimes you need onion juice,
Right?
And blending them together.
I'm Italian, so we used a lot of garlic when we were sick.
Oh God, we eat garlic like for breakfast, brunch, and lunch and
My
dinner.
mother's from Italy, so it was garlic. You always smell garlic.
Italian.
My parents. Yeah, there's garlic always in our house when you're sick. The soups and I know there is. I mean, I love all of this new gut health information out there and how it relates. So yeah, you're right. You do need that clinical as well. How do you incorporate natural products?
You know, sometimes when you look at the person and you feel like they're glowing from within, not like from the outside. So I try to you will leave the treatment room with a glowing skin, but I also want you to glow from the inside. So I would always incorporate some relaxing techniques like a massage. You know, a relaxing 10-minute massage, like a scalp massage or neck massage. It will relax you. Your cortisol level will go down. And yes, your acne is not going to go away, or like your pigmentation is not going to go away right away after the massage. Right. But it will relax you. And leaving the room, you, at least for some next few hours, you're not going to feel stressed.
Yeah.
I definitely incorporate both.
Yes.
More aggressive treatments, but if there is a room for something that can relax you, hydrate you without harsh chemicals or something like that, I would always incorporate that.
I love that. What sets holistic skincare apart from that traditional clinical approach?
Holistic.
Long-term benefits?
Definitely, but holistic, it's when we're considering the skin or like the entire body as one system, right? So rather than treating, in my case, it's a skincare, so rather than treating a skin concern, we get into your lifestyle, your hobby, what might trigger it. So it's kind of treating the symptom and what caused it. The traditional medicine, of course, is more aggressive,
Right.
but it's a quick fix.
Right.
It's a fix that might not be a long term.
Right.
Sometimes it might, but the price you pay sometimes, and you mentioned Accutane.
Yes.
The price that you pay for taking Accutane might not worth it. So here you're kind of sacrificing one thing. And I'm not opposed to, by no means, I'm opposed to medicine and like pills that you have to take for acne.
Right.
If that is, but that has to be the last resort. And the problem is that if you go see a dermatologist, the first thing they will not ask you if you,
it's wild.
If you ever checked your hormones, they will not ask you if you are a candy eater.
Yeah.
They will not ask you, have you ever tried to ditch coffee or this and that. They will never, they will just like, okay, here's your spironolactone.
Right.
Or every other client of mine are on spironolactone.
Do you, oh really? Do you have teenagers that come to you?
Yes, not a lot, but yes.
Okay, I was curious.
That's the thing is, I think a lot of moms, they need to be a little more educated on that because they think they will outgrow this. And then the teenager becomes adult, and even if they outgrew this, maybe the hormones definitely even out. The problem is that sometimes the skin condition gets irreversible in terms of scarring. So if your kid, if a teenager has acne, chances are they will outgrow it, but you have to help them. First of all, they are human, they have feelings, and kids are mean.
Oh, they have a lot of feelings.
Yes. Oh, I'm sure you know. I don't have kids, but
mean.
I'm sure, yes.
Just come over, have dinner, you'll just...
So you want your kid to feel more confident, and you want your kid not to have scars.
Yeah.
So you can bring your kid and we can educate your kid. When I was a teenager, I had acne.
Yes.
My mom never had acne, and we didn't have Google back then. So I didn't.
Suffered.
I thought that if I have a pimple, I have to extract it. Then I have a sore. I thought that if I remove the sore, it will go away. But it would keep coming back because that's how our skin works. And my mom, not because she didn't pay attention, it's because she was not educated herself. So sometimes you have to bring a kid so professional educates them. If you take them to dermatologists, chances are the dermatologist will either prescribe a birth control for a girl or Accutane or something like that, which, again, it's every parent's right.
I was just talking to my daughter about this last night. They are luckier to grow up in this age. Back in the day, we had something called like Clearasil. I mean, we just suffered through it.
I remember that.
And you put it on at night all over your face. And today, yes, we have more education. The holistic side, what are they eating? How is that
100%.
Contributing? We need to now balance, all that yummy food for just balance it out.
And it has to be exactly balance. You said it right.
Oh, yeah.
It cannot be to the extreme.
No.
You cannot stop eating sugar.
No,
because
it's too good. You can't stop it.
It's too good. You need some joy in life, and also
so much joy.
You're gonna just not feel energy.
No.
Yeah. So you need
they're
something.
lucky to have that. I don't think, on average, kids will have it as bad. The average will have it as bad as maybe some of us did back in the day. The cystic acne, all of that.
Yeah.
Do you have an experience or transformation you can share about one of your client situations? Of someone coming in and saying, Yuliya, help me.
For laser, the first thing that came to my mind was laser hair removal. I have a lot of transgender clients.
Wow.
And it's kind of you like walking that journey with them.
Oh my gosh.
Once they start transforming.
Yes.
So a lot of people who transform from being a man to a woman.
Wow.
And of course, the main concern for them is laser hair removal. So it's kind of just amazing to see how more confident and happy they get. And you even see the way they dress. Like when they start coming to you, they're more closed, and then once they get rid of hair, they're more
Confident.
they wear whatever they want, and it's kind of cool. And as for facials, and it's actually, speaking of holistic, this client of mine from last year, she saw a dermatologist for so many years, and then they would put her on medication. She would take it, everything is fine, and then she goes off because you cannot be taking it for too long, and then everything comes back, the acne.
Yes.
So she came to me for laser, and somehow we just came to facials. So eventually she booked a facial with me, and she was like, yeah, I just want something like extractions, nothing helps me. She, like, at that point she was like 100, like she gave up. And I'm not a pusher. I'm not going to force you. Oh, no, let me help you. No, if you just want, I'm going to do whatever you want to do, but I will try to very carefully get there. And we talk, and then it turns out, like in a very long conversation, it turns out that she is a swimmer. She goes to the swimming pool since she's like 16. And then I'm like, hey, didn't you mention you had acne since you were 16? She was like, yeah. And I was like, so how about maybe this water in the pool, there is a thing that's like chlorine rash and like other conditions.
Some people are allergic to chlorine and don't even know it.
Some people are allergic, and sometimes it's not even allergy, it's just
irritation.
Your skin barrier is already compromised, and then that water is just contaminates it more. And literally just a few facials and the changing in her routine before and after her swimming pool. So she would protect her skin, and it's interesting how I guessed it, because she barely had acne on her forehead. It's because the hat was covering.
Oh, that's so interesting.
And
the cap.
Yes, the cap, the swimming cap, and it was mostly like all over her face, but not on her.
Like a detective.
Yeah, but you see, if I didn't ask her, and this is it's kind of her hobby, even though she's kind of a half professional, but it's her hobby. So not talking about her hobbies,
You wouldn't have known.
we would just keep doing her chemical peels, and she was already like so. Honestly, she gave up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The skin, I mean, I think any woman can understand this. It's very vulnerable for us. And when you break out or when you don't feel your best, you almost want to hide. So having you, I don't know, you said some people feel like it's a little intrusive. You're like a therapist probably to most everyone. They meet with you and they're like, help me. And you're helping them and you're working with them to find solutions.
Yeah.
You are a therapist of skin.
I am.
Yes.
Yeah.
That should be your title. I love that. How do you balance running a business and keeping up with all the innovative things going on? And I first have to talk about your social media page on Instagram, especially. You have amassed such a following, and how long have you been? 2 years?
2 years.
Okay, you've amassed such a following, and I think this is innovative, the way you capture video and moments of your business and life. It's so beautiful, beautifully curated.
Thank you.
That's so innovative just to begin with. And you said before you're doing this all yourself.
I am.
How are you doing this? You have such an eye. You have such an eye.
I used to be a photographer.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is innovative as well. I mean,
it's definitely something that helps me. It's kind of crazy how I never thought that background in photography would be useful when you're an esthetician, if you are a content creator as well.
Yes.
Answering your question about the staying up to date, I love learning. First of all, I go to conferences like pretty much every other month. Wow. I'm a brand ambassador for one of the brands that manufactures equipment for estheticians. Okay. So I go to conferences to educate estheticians about that equipment and the treatments, the protocols that we have, but also those estheticians, it's like kind of like an exchange of knowledge.
Sure.
I educate them, but they educate me.
Yeah, sure.
And then being at those conferences, I definitely have time to explore. This is the industry that is evolving so quickly. Like, I don't know any other industry that's changing so fast. You know, like the trends, the skincare trends, like every day it's a new trend.
Nonstop.
And going to those conferences definitely help. Staying in touch with other estheticians. My clients, they help me. They come and they're like, hey, have you heard of this whatever beef tallow? And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess I need to educate myself on beef tallow, because what the hell is that?
Yeah, I don't know what that, beef tallow?
Tallow, yeah. It's like a beef fat.
I just heard about this recently.
I know. People,
it doesn't
please,
sound...
No, please don't do that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's my clients, they come with a request. And like, hey, have you heard of this new device? I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I might have heard, I might not. But if people ask, I definitely will educate myself on that. And it's interesting. I thrive when I learn, so I love it.
You're always learning, so you're always just educating, seeing what works for you in your business, what doesn't work. You don't have a problem saying no to the beat.
You have to stay relevant in the competition.
Yeah. Why do you think people responded so much to you, your business, your Instagram? What do you think it is? I mean, I know, I just said what it was, but what do you think it was? It's you.
Interesting. I think, you know, people come for the treatment, but they do stay kind of for the experience that you give them.
Yeah.
So I think that is the key to my personal success, that I have I have a big client retention rate. Yes, most of them are coming. Yeah, so as for Instagram, I just feel like most of my followers are estheticians just like me. So they see me as someone who they can learn something from. And I don't mind. I think it's amazing when an esthetician from Brazil asks you, like, where did you get this mask? I'm like, okay, of course.
Would you say most are women?
Most are women.
So isn't that incredible that, you know, I always say this, there's always a bad rep with women. We're so competitive, cutthroat. There's also women that will run through hoops for you, learn, encourage, cheer on as well.
I think you should see your competitors not as a competitors, but more of like a tool that forces you to learn and to motivate you.
I love that.
Otherwise, if you see your competitors as competitors, that is actually leading to self-doubt.
Yes, jealousy. Nothing good comes from 100%. That. I say that to my kids, even in sports. Play with someone better than you so you can learn and grow. You
look
want
up
that.
to them.
Yeah. I love that approach. I hope that we can all adopt what you just said.
It's hard though.
It is, but if you're trying, I mean, that's a good place to be.
Yep.
Yeah, supporting each other and learning from each other. I love that. I actually, before this sit down, I talked to a bunch of my friends and I was like, do you have questions about skincare? And all of them feel overwhelmed half the time. We're in our 30s or we're in our 40s. We don't know what to do. What are we supposed to maintain? So I have some questions that a lot of them were asking the same. So I'm going to ask you some.
Of course.
What's the number one skincare mistake New Yorkers are making right now, and how can they fix it?
Having the same skincare in summer and winter.
I've just learned about that. Yeah. Yes.
I see that a lot in my clients. Yeah. They're like, out of nowhere, I'm breaking out like crazy. This is terrible. Did you see my face when I got here? I was red like tomato. It's cold outside.
No, she wasn't. She looked amazing, but yes, it's cold.
Burning. My face. I definitely felt like I was red because my face was burning.
Yeah. Or people are itchy, or you know, their skin's so dry.
It's flaky. It's dry. First of all, it's the cold air outside. Second of all, it's the inner heaters. The heating in our apartments make your skin so dry.
Yes.
I wake up with my throat being sore, and I'm like, am I sick? But then I drink water and I'm like, oh, I was just dry. So
do you sleep with a humidifier?
No.
I don't either. Too much work.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Too much work to
The
clean it.
room is so big. I need like a huge humidifier.
Yeah, and then you have to clean it. Anyway, let's get back. Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to clean it. Right. So the moisturizer is really important, right?
During this summer, you can focus. You can exfoliate a little more, but of course, if you wear SPF, you don't have to hydrate so much because the humidity is very high. We are talking about New York right now.
Right.
Winter is completely opposite. Very low humidity, very dry air. So focus on not exfoliation. Actually, don't exfoliate much. Exfoliation is important, but cut on that.
Yes.
Whatever you're doing in summer, cut twice at least, especially if you see that your skin definitely is acting out in winter.
Yeah.
And hydrate. If you love your very light moisturizer, I would definitely suggest going with something a little more hydrating. But if you absolutely don't want to ditch it, add layering. Add something underneath your moisturizer, like a hyaluronic acid serum, some hydrating serum. There are so many of them out there in the market that will boost the hydration and kind of increase the benefits of your moisturizer.
Right. That's good. And then switch back in the summer because then your face will feel so heavy.
Your skin will tell you.
I know.
You will notice that the kind of like it builds up a little quicker, so you need more exfoliation. It means that the skin is not as dry anymore. You just feel it.
It's just so funny. Women get so busy, so they're probably hearing this. They're like, "Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense," but they just don't do it, and then their face is flaky. Yeah. Okay, that's good. If you had to recommend one skincare product every woman should own, what would it be?
I'm not falling for that.
Love it.
Because every skin is unique, same as the treatments.
And decades. How old you are.
Okay, the thing that everyone has on is definitely an SPF.
Right, okay.
Sunscreen is, even if it's cloudy outside, you have to wear it.
Right.
You can actually check on our phones, there is a UV index. As long as it's higher than 2, you have to apply sunscreen.
It's all year.
Yeah. And it's super easy. You just go on your phone and you look.
And you know that with kids. Kids get burnt in cloudy weather if they're out for hours and hours.
Well, not only kids, I get burned. I mean, if I'm in Miami, not in New York. In New York, it's hard to get burnt in the cloudy weather. But yeah, definitely. So that's the one product that I would recommend for everyone. But it's definitely, the brand would depend on what you like most. Do you like sheer? Do you like dewy? Do you like mineral? Honestly, as long as you love your SPF, you're going to be wearing every day.
You said dewy, and I have to bring this up for my daughter. She had one question last night, and it's such a teenage question. She's like, how do you maintain glassy skin? And I think for someone who's not a teenager, I would say that's just glowy skin daily. Can you answer that question?
So in order to have the glow, you have to remove the layer that is kind of like a dead skin, what we call, right? Because that one is not glowing. Physically, it cannot be glowing. It's dead. You have to remove it. So the key to having a glow is exfoliate. Again, in winter, we have to be very careful with that.
Yes.
And every skin has its own... the acid that will fit your skin best. For some people, it might be glycolic. For some people, it might be salicylic. It really depends. But AHA and BHA should be your best friends if you're looking for that glow.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for saying glow and not glass. Do you believe vitamin C is important? That's just my question.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Controversial question.
I think vitamin C is great as a part of your skincare routine if your skin is already healthy. However, if you need to treat pigmentation or if you need to treat uneven skin tone, vitamin C might just not be enough for you. So great for prevention as part of a holistic approach. Might not be good if you already are struggling with some issues.
What do you recommend for pigmentation?
Glycolic or lactic acid should be the first thing that consider, but depends because glycolic is a little more irritating. You start with lactic if your skin tolerates. Acid is something that you have to introduce very gradually. You cannot just apply everything
like
on your
retinol.
Skin. If you're using retinol, you have to remember that you cannot use it together with AHAs, BHA at the same routine.
Right.
So just having a 10-step routine might not necessarily mean that you're a healthy skincare routine.
Do you sit with your clients and give them a plan of what they need to use?
We talk. I always ask them what they're already using.
That is so helpful, because I'm sure people are like, okay, what? You don't use this when you use this, and how do you...
Well, no, yeah, I definitely would not send you home with just verbally saying that to you. No,
that's so helpful.
I will send you a text message saying all of those things, like morning routine, step 1, step 2, step 3.
Love that.
And most of the times I do recommend products, but it's like I never recommend products before I see the face, the skin. But yeah, I would send you with, but chances are you might be already having all of those products at home. You just are not using them correctly.
I bet most people are not using them
because
correctly.
we all buy stuff. Yeah. We see it on TikTok.
Yes.
Rest in peace, or is it still there?
Yeah, it's still there. I like that you said rest in peace.
But
for that 17 hours.
We see someone who is recommended some. Yeah. And it's not even a dermatologist or esthetician. It's just an influencer.
Right.
They recommend you go buy. So most of us end up having a shelf of skincare that we are using everything.
That's why women are so overwhelmed and they don't know what to do next, because then they get tired.
There's a lot of information. That's why you should listen to esthetician and not TikTok influencer.
Wow, that's huge. Huge advice, guys. What's popular treatment do people, what would you say is the most popular treatment people come to you for?
Besides laser hair removal, probably. Okay. Besides that, it's a hydro-diamond facial.
Explain what that is.
Hydro-diamond facial is something that combines pretty much everything you need. So it would be double cleansing, exfoliation. I incorporate some massage in it.
Sounds incredible.
The infusion of serums. The serum is tailored according to your skin needs. And then we finish with cooling therapy. There might be some extractions if needed. So it's a whole experience. It's an amazing, have you heard of microdermabrasion? Yeah. So this is something that's much more gentler, much more gentle. Hydrodermabrasion, so it's not dry. And it exfoliates, it hydrates. It's an amazing
technology. It sounds incredible, especially in the winter.
That is the most popular treatment,
I just thought of this now. What's the age range that people come to you?
I'd say like 22, between 22 to like 40-ish. Yeah. It's funny because I actually was into anti-aging treatments. I always said, this is something that concerns me the most. I don't want to get older. So I thought that I will focus on treating more like an aging concerns. It just so happened that I started getting clients who struggle with acne. And I started loving it so much.
Wow.
Because with acne, you actually see the results. With anti-aging, it's like such a slow progression. And anti-aging is more about prevention, because once you already have the deep wrinkle, it's hard to get rid of it. You can exfoliate all you want. It will stay there, unfortunately. As for acne, you do see kind of like more dramatic results. So I got into acne. And kind of it just so happened that I wasn't planning it.
It's funny, in my 20s, based on lifestyle, I went through a time where I really broke out from nothing to really breaking out. And it's lifestyle. You're out a lot. You're not sleeping well. You're on the go grabbing chips. And and it affects your skin.
Are you from New York originally?
Yeah, Long Island.
Yeah, well, you see, you were always on the go since you were born.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. I mean, New York City, stress, lack of sleep, I understand why a lot of 20-somethings are coming to you, and if they're having, even when they didn't have acne before, they're having it now, your body, you can only go so long until your face starts to see.
You are kind of, your body will give you all of that, but if you're not giving back, that's it. And a lot of people in their 30s come with acne, and they're like, wait, I thought it was going to go away because when I was a teenager I had it, but now, like, what the hell, I'm almost 40. And yes, adult acne is no joke. It's definitely there.
It's hard too. It's funny, I would have come to you in my 20s had I known, but in my 20s I was going to this woman who was doing facials, and she was just my hope. I was really devoting time to doing that and taking care of my lifestyle.
It's amazing that you found that person. It's not easy to find. It
was like she was my hope, just getting things back on track along. But how do you keep your work-life balance? I mean, in the city, you said you didn't stop working in 2023. So I'm not going to ask you about 2023. I'm going to ask you now, how do you find a balance? I mean, on your Instagram page, you are literally going from morning till night. Have you found a little bit of a balance? Is that walk with your dogs?
Unfortunately, I'm still working on it. So if you guys have any tips, for a person like me, it's really hard, especially if you own your own business. You will always prioritize your work because it's your baby.
Yeah.
But again, last year showed me that I cannot pour from an empty glass. I just can't.
So true.
So I started taking my days off, kind of planning them
Good for
a little bit more upfront because my clients schedule 4, 6, 7 weeks upfront. So because that's how laser hair removal and most facials work.
Sure.
So I know that if I don't block that availability and if I don't put it in my personal calendar with huge words, day off, like I literally have to put red exclamation points there because I might not even notice and just put people there.
Good for you.
So I started booking my days off in advance. I definitely stopped using my phone, my work phone, after 9 p.m. And my clients, we are family. I love them, so they can text me anytime.
Yeah.
But after 9 p.m., I put everything on Do Not Disturb. And if you want to reschedule, we'll have to talk about it tomorrow.
Good for you.
So it's small things, and I'm still learning.
Yeah.
Work-life balance is the sore spot for me.
I'm learning. I feel like no one says I have this down. I find that you have to force it, even if you don't want to. I think that might be the secret, forcing that time. Because I mean, I've told myself before, sit down and don't do anything right now, and it's okay.
But then once you sit down and don't do it, you think you get anxious because you're like, I am missing out. Everyone around me.
So it's like a learned practice.
Yes.
But your body needs to stop because then you'll pay for it. You'll get sick. You'll feel run down, and then you can't pour, like you said,
100%.
from an empty glass. So I think it's just forcing those moments, and really adhering to them. Good for you that you've done that for yourself. Compared to years prior, I don't know how you lasted on the go. I'm impressed.
I think it's just when it's your business, you're like, if I don't do that, no one is gonna do that.
Right, you're talking like an entrepreneur.
And I was very enthusiastic. And I think when you're enthusiastic, you don't really feel tired.
Yeah.
The reason why I went on my first solo trip, I was 8 months into my business, and my mom was like, "Listen, you need a vacation because you're like literally cuckoo already." So I booked a trip that same night, and it wasn't as busy as I am right now, so I could just book it like in 3 weeks from now and just go, and it helped a lot.
I'm impressed you went away alone. I think that's
I needed
great.
something. Normally I would be scared to go even to Miami because I want someone to give me company. But no, that was the time when I'm like, I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want anyone to tell me where we're going for dinner. I'm not even going for dinner. I literally was ordering food in.
Yeah.
I was drinking margarita on the beach at 11 a.m.
Sounds amazing.
I was sleeping. It's funny. I said I was sleeping because I would still wake up at 8 a.m. because it's just my body.
Where'd you go? Miami?
Yeah, just Miami.
Yeah,
honestly, it wasn't something like exotic.
No,
I just needed to be in a horizontal position.
Good for you, yeah.
Just like horizontal.
And not have to answer to anything or anybody or do.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. What has been your most rewarding moment in your career so far?
I think, so many things, so many small things that happen on a daily basis, and I'm like, oh my God, this is an extra validation that I'm on the right path. But I think, the most concerning thing is when you open your own business, how to get clients, right?
Sure.
And whether someone gonna come to me or not, does someone need my services? And I remember some client called me and she was like, hey, can I make a booking? And I opened my schedule and I was like, yeah, sure. And then I see that and I say it out loud. I'm like, so the next appointment for a facial is not until 3 weeks from now. And I say that. and then it hits me. I'm like, oh my God, I'm busy. I'm so busy.
Aww.
And I think her asking, like, she was like, hey, can you put me on a wait list if something opens up? And then I book her for in 3 weeks from now. And I'm like, this is, I have a wait list now. This is amazing.
Yes.
She was the first person. I remember I created a wait list for her because she was the first person ever asking about wait lists.
Yeah.
Because before that, I never needed a wait list. I always would find appointment for you within like 7 to 10 days.
Yeah.
So I'm like, here I am. I need a wait list. And I remember it was just like amazing.
It's amazing that you, amidst your busyness, saw that moment and like took it in.
Sometimes you say something out loud and it just hits you.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Well, do you have advice to the woman who wants to start a business in New York City? I mean, you didn't pick an easy city to start a business in, and you are running a successful business. What would you say to that woman right now who's got a dream?
First of all, go for it. Like, stop procrastinating, stop getting stuck in that analysis paralysis when you... The thing is that the problem is, or maybe not the problem, maybe it's a blessing, but you will never have all the answers in advance. You will never be able to plan everything in advance. And even if you think you do, I have bad news for you. Something is going to go not as planned for sure.
Yes.
So instead of procrastinating, just go for it. Just start and you will figure out it as you go. It's good if you have mentors. If not, listen, you'll figure it out. And do not compare your beginning with someone else's middle, because that's where the going back to the self-doubt, that's where it's coming from. And in the city like New York especially, it's so oversaturated with... Come up with the idea of a business, Google it, and most likely it already exists somewhere around you, next, like 2 blocks from you. There are so many. When I was opening a business there, I was looking at these all amazing women that have been in the industry for 20 years. They know what they're doing. They're business owners. They're successful. And here I am. So I was comparing constantly that they have 10,000 followers and I have 1.5 follower on my Instagram. Well, you'll get there. Do not compare. They've been doing it for 20 years and you've been doing it for 20 minutes. And it's hard not to compare. But again, see them as the tool to motivate you as opposed to your competitor, and constantly learn. Do not ever get stuck in this stagnation where you think like, okay, I'm there, I'm good, I'm enough. You're never enough, because there will always be someone who is better than you. So learn. Change, introduce something new, whatever that business is. You know, it applies to pretty much everything. If you keep asking the same questions at your podcast every single day, how long do you think people are going to be watching you? No, you constantly have to learn from other people, and there are so many courses, there's so many information out there that it's like a crime not to learn, to be learning these days. So yeah, but the main thing is just go for it.
What motivates you to keep going with your business?
Well, first of all, New York is expensive.
Yeah,
If you are not going, you're not going to make any living.
Yes.
But also, I think seeing the transformation that my clients get, it's just like such a huge motivation. And then seeing this industry in general evolving constantly, seeing all of these estheticians. You know, I had a situation, and it's kind of incredible. I was at the conference in Las Vegas, and this girl comes over to me, and she's like, oh my God, I follow you on Instagram. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a celebrity for someone. And these things that there's an esthetician that thinks I am nothing, but there's other estheticians that think that I'm a role model. All of those things, they motivate me to kind of constantly learn, to grow the business. And I have so many plans. Oh my God.
I was going to say, where do you see yourself going with this business, with your...
Yes. Oh my God. I don't know.
Can you share a few dreams?
Well, I definitely want to expand. I definitely want to have a dream team of skincare professionals that... Ideally, it would be like a spa situation where it's not only laser and facials, but it's also some very relaxing treatments, maybe body treatments, you know. That is something that I see eventually I definitely want to have a team of professionals. And as for my mentoring, I kind of transition very slowly because I realized that I really love it. I love educating.
Yeah.
So I am currently mentoring a couple estheticians.
Good for you.
How to go solo.
Wow.
They work for someone, and this is what I did. I used to work for someone, and then I went.
Right.
I went and opened my own business. So I'm mentoring them how to do that, and they're just my guinea pigs. That's why I don't even talk about it a lot on Instagram, because I'm still learning together with them. I have done the business part, but I have never mentored someone. And mentoring someone requires a lot of motivation. You have to motivate that person. You have to find the right spot where you just press, and she's like, okay, this is that aha moment for me, because for each person it can be different. So definitely want to come up with some video course.
I think you should.
Yeah.
Because you have such a natural gift speaking with people, but also your approach to life. You're very vulnerable and honest about, struggles in life, but you also have this hope. And approach, and about competition and women and the future and learning constantly and just being your best. That could really inspire other people. So I think you need to do. I think you need to do this.
I've been thinking it for a while, but again, I need a team. I guess because I'm doing everything myself. It's just. I'm just stretching myself thin. Then I'm like, oh, I remember I need to come down a little. So, okay, I go back. So it's hard when you're on your own.
It is hard, and finding that time where you are going to take a risk on yourself and expand.
Yes.
And then
I
the
also
growing
have
pains
to
with that.
prioritize my current clients. Like, this is my main priority.
Right.
Because I would not be sitting here if it wasn't for them. Like, my Instagram would never grow, my business would never grow.
Right.
I'm so grateful for you guys. We're doing it.
Right there. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for coming here.
Thank
You
you
are
for
such a
having
bright
me.
light. It's funny, we were talking about this off camera. I was so excited to sit with you today.
Yes.
I felt super calm.
Yeah, me too. I
Isn't
was
that
really
weird?
excited.
And
It
then you
is.
walked in and we were like, yes.
It's like we just clicked right away. Yeah, but I had a feeling,
I did too.
Sometimes you're just looking at the person through the Instagram and you might already have the idea.
Yeah, so-
And also the way you spoke to me, the way you texted me, it all matters. Small things matter.
yeah.
So thank you so much for making me
Thank
feel
you.
comfortable. I swear in my life I didn't even sweat. I wasn't even
I'm
worried.
honored. I'm honored. But thank you for trusting me and sitting with me. I mean, women are such huge champions of other women.
Yes.
And inspiring.
women.
Yeah. So I thank you for being such a beautiful example of that.
Thank you for having me and for letting me share my story.
Yes.
It means a lot to me. It's an extra validation that I'm doing something that I
Making a difference.
probably was supposed to do.
You are.